Hi everyone, this is Andrew Cleaver at the Suntree Sax Studio, and I'm going to try and walk you guys through some of the audition materials for Melbourne High School. I'm going to cover level 3, which includes the first two pieces, the scale and the etude for level 1, an additional scale, additional etude for level 2, and the final scale and etude for level 3. I want to talk you through a few of these things first. So let's get right into it. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. To start off on level 1, if you look at your instructions, level 1 is just going to be for altos a G major scale. For tenors it's going to be C major. And the specifications say 2 octaves. So that's going to be tough for the alto and the baritone sax players. Can be done. We'll give you a little sample of it, but just to start off, the regular B flat concert scale, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. All right, and just to give you an idea, for the tenor players, you're going to be playing a C scale, 2 octaves. For the alto and baritone, if you are tackling that 2 octave scale, I'll give you an idea of what that sounds like. It's going to be pretty tough up there, but if you've learned that high G overtone, that's a pretty good payoff when it comes to auditioning. Mr. Saul is a saxophone player too. So here's what the 2 octave scale is going to sound like on alto saxophone. 1, 2, 3. So to go along with that, for level 1, you'll need to play the first etude. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and I'm going to play it for you, but I wanted to talk through that a little bit to show you some of the extra things you can do that will give you maybe a few extra points on the actual audition. If you look at what I've put up on the screen, you'll see I actually wrote in some dynamics on the level 1 etude. Grow through the first measure, back down in the second measure, grow through the third measure. All those are growing, but one thing you also notice is I kind of highlighted them with a blue shadow, but those slurred notes, they alternate where they appear. So first measure, it's on the first 2 eighth notes. Third measure, it's on the second 2 eighth notes. Fifth measure, it's on the last 2 eighth notes, and at the end, it actually slurs across the bar. So you'll notice when I play this for you that each of those, the first note of the slur is actually kind of got a little bit of an accent on it. But the biggest thing I want you to notice is in each 2 measure phrase, the volume goes up and down. There's a crescendo and a decrescendo. And note on the last note, make sure you hold that beep, ba, ba, off. All right, so here's how that sounds. 1, 2, 1. The tempo on that was 76, just what it's written. So let's add on. Let's talk about level 2. I'm looking at my sheets here, in case you're wondering why I'm looking down. But on level 2, you're going to add D flat major. So that's for altos and baries, that's a B flat major scale, and for tenors, that's an E flat scale. So you're able to do those 2. If you can do 2 octaves, go ahead and get the extra points for those octaves. And this will be good exercise when you're auditioning for all county and all state and those kind of things. So let's talk about that. The 2 octave scale for level 2. Here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3. If you can only do 1 octave, go ahead and do 1. But if you can get that second octave out, it'll help. You don't have to do it fast. As long as you get those notes out, that's the key. So if you want to go slower than what you just heard, that's perfectly fine. So on the second etude, to add in that second level, I'm going to show you the music here. You'll see that I actually wrote in more dynamics. So between the first and second measure, I wrote in a crescendo. I actually wrote in the dynamics too. I started it at mezzo forte because this one doesn't really, you're kind of making up your own dynamics as you go along. So to make it more musical, we're starting mezzo forte, as you can see. We're crescendoing through the first two and come back down. And then on a third measure, we actually hit it, that's the high point. That's the highest note in this entire etude. So hit that one a little bit harder and come back down on the third measure. Okay? Now the fourth measure gets a little tricky because there's articulations in there. I drew some lines in between to make sure you actually tongue those notes. So it's like ba, bi, ta, dee, da, da, ta. So those 3 8 notes, dee, da, da, ta, those are like pickup notes when you play it. And you'll hear when I play it, it actually does feel like those are 3 pickup notes. And then I put some dots over some notes to help you with that articulation. At the end, da, 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 dee, da, da, da. And then again, the last note, give that 4 full beats. So it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. That means it feels like you're actually playing 5 beats, but you're cutting off on the 5th beat of that for a whole note. Okay? Let's see, I'm looking at the tenor part to make sure there's nothing else tricky. So here's what that second level etude is going to sound like. And this is at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. And then let's move on to level 3. Level 3, you are adding a D major scale. For altos and baritone sax, that is a B natural major scale. And for the tenor, that's an E scale, E major scale. So both of those are 2 octaves. It says 3 is possible, but that's for clarinets and flutes, but not for a saxophone. So our goal is 2 octaves there. Here's the pattern. I'll let you listen to that. And to finish up that third level, this is a little bit about the level 3 excerpt before we play it. Okay, this one doesn't have a lot of dynamic change to it. Now I'm going to play it at 80 beats a minute. The same things apply. At the very end, make sure you hold that last note for 1 full beat and cut off on 2. So I wrote off on 2 at the end of that. And then you'll notice that I added a lot of dots over these 16th notes that weren't there on the original. Those are to help you. They should have a little bit space between them. And even if you're doing it 80, which is not fast, when you do them with the right articulation, a short articulation, it's actually going to sound like you're doing it faster. So let me play this for you, and you can see how that sounds. 1, 2, 1. I want to add one thing in, just a couple pointers on saxophone in general. When you're practicing, the first thing I talk to my students about is the support for the air. When you're playing saxophone, your stomach, your diaphragm area should be tight, like you're about to get punched. Okay, when I was in college, my teacher, when I was playing, would just walk up and hit me in the stomach to see if I had that tension there. That what that does is, even if you're playing soft, you're playing loud, that tension will keep the air steady. It really helps get the soft notes out, and it really helps give the loud notes support. So there's no reason to back off on that support. If you're a singer, try it. When you're singing in the shower, sing a note and then really tighten up your gut and sing that note again and see how much better it rings and better it sounds. Then sing something really soft, but keep it really tight. You know, you're still limiting your air and just letting it be soft, but you're keeping that strong support behind it. So keep that in mind when you're playing your scales. You play your scale top to bottom. You can start out kind of soft. As you get to the top, get louder, and as you come back down, you'll get a little bit softer. The whole time keeping that tension in your diaphragm area. You know, this was short and sweet. I hope this helps you with your audition. If you have questions, you can email me at andrew@thecleavers.net. Just a note about the Suntree Sax Studios. I do teach private lessons. I teach them I do online through WhatsApp. The audio is really good in WhatsApp, so I suggest if you want a lesson and you don't want to do it in person, download that app, and it really helps the teacher hear what you're playing. But if you're interested in that, I would love to take on some new students, even if it's once a month, if it's twice a month, once a week, it's up to you. So I wish you the best in your audition. Good luck to you.